Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Today we'll talk about the concept of a fallen angel. What is a fallen angel? Can angel be a fallen angel? What is the concept of an angel in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam? And as a Muslim, do we have this concept in Islamic eschatology about a fallen angel? Well, a fallen angel is traditionally understood as a celestial being who has rebelled against God and been cast out of heaven. These beings are often associated with pride, disobedience, or defiance against divine authority. Well, if you start looking into Judaism, you will find that the idea of fallen angel is not explicitly emphasized in the Jewish theology, but is influenced by the extra-biblical texts like the Book of Enoch and the other books or literatures. In the Book of Enoch, which is an ancient Jewish text, the Watchers is a group of angels who descend to earth, intermarry with human women, and produce a special kind of a being, which we'll talk about in a separate video. Well, in the mainstream Jewish thought, angels are generally seen as messengers of God without any free will, so the concept of them falling is less central. However, figures like Satan, which means the accuser, are depicted as, but still, that this is one individual that is considered to be a fallen angel, but still under God's authority, not as entirely rebellious, because the idea of Satan in the Judaism is regarded as a fallen angel. Anyway, that's in a nutshell about Judaism. But when it comes to Christianity, the concept of fallen angel is more developed in the Christian theology, drawing from the biblical passages and later interpretations of, for example, from the Isaiah, book number 14, or chapter number 14, verses 12 through 15. It is interpreted as referring to Lucifer, though contextually about the king of Babylon. And in the book of Revelation, in chapter number 12, verses 7 through 9, it describes a cosmic rebellion where angels are cast out of heaven. So the idea of Lucifer or Satan, in early Christian theologians, they equated the figure of Lucifer, coming from the Latin word for light bringer, with Satan, a fallen angel who defied God out of pride. And fallen angels are viewed in Christianity as demons who follow Satan, and they work to oppose God's will, and their idea is to tempt humanity. This is somewhat similar to one idea that is in the Islamic theology, which is about the shayateen, who are the demons who work for the Satan, called the Iblis. But Iblis, or these shayateen, they are from the jinns. They're not from the angels. Satan used to hang out with the angels, and we have talked about that in great detail, and how did he make his way all the way into the heavens after the jinns were persecuted by the angels on the planet Earth. But he hung out with them, and he sort of kind of was treated like among them. But of course, he was created from smokeless fire. He was a jinn. On the contrary, the angels are created from light. But again, this is the Christian view that I'm talking about, that they believe in, the fallen angels. Muslims don't. So the fall is often linked to themes of pride and disobedience and the cosmic battle between the good and the evil. So that's the Christian point of view. And angels in Islam, which are malaika, are obedient servants of Allah, and they do not possess any free will, so they cannot fall or they cannot rebel. That's Islamic viewpoint. So the closest figure to a fallen angel concept is Iblis, but Islam does not call him a fallen angel. But rather, Quran says, وَكَانَ مِنَ الْجِنِّ, he was from the jinn, فَفَسَقَ عَنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّهِ, and he was rebellious. When Allah commanded him to do something, he did not listen to, and he rebelled against. And jinns, as Quran says, are created from smokeless fire, And angels, on the other hand, are created from light, as comes in Sahih Muslim. And Iblis, refusing to bow down to Adam out of pride, claiming superiority as a being of fire over one made of clay, as Quran talks about in several places. So his refusal led him to be expelled from the paradise. So Iblis is more or less seen as a leader of evil forces or a tempter, but he operates within Allah's divine plan and cannot act outside of Allah's permission, because when he was being casted out, he asked Allah to give him a time frame to live and do what he's promising. And Allah said, okay, you have time till the time that I know. So, ila waqtin ma'loom. So I know what time that is, but you have time till and that waqt is till the qiyamah. So until the qiyamah happens, you will be able to do whatever you want to do. But once it happens, that's it. Your plan is over, your deal is over. So whoever you wanted to take with you, that's it. So he is more or less like the leader who continuously tries his level best to take as many people with him into the hellfire as possible. So Islamic tradition does not believes in that the angels are fallen, like they would rebel and they would be casted out. So that's one main difference, where in the Judaism there's a special kind of angels that comes in extra biblical text that they call watchers, that were thrown out. But in the Islamic perspective, there are no special kind of angels called watchers to be thrown out. And Iblis was a jinn. He was not from the angel. But on the other hand, in Christianity, Lucifer or Satan is considered to be a fallen angel. So angels, even in Judaism, are messengers of God, created by him to perform specific tasks. They're spiritual beings without free will, always obedient, and angels are not worshipped or considered any kind of other authority in Judaism and in any of their prayers. And their idea is to deliver messages to humans, like angel Gabriel, which is called Jibra'il in Arabic, or others. And they serve as agents of God's will. And some angels are actually, like for example, the angel Michael that we call in Arabic Mikael. Similarly, in Jewish mystical texts like the Kabbalah, it elaborates on hierarchies of angels, including several hierarchies, and some rabbinic literatures suggest differing types of angels for different tasks as well. So angels in Jewish texts rarely interact directly with humans and often serve as symbolic representations of God's presence. And angels have no independent authority or power. But in Christianity, angels are created spiritual beings with intellect and free will. So they are inherently good, but they're capable of rebellion. So that's one distinction that we see, and that's why they believe that Satan was a fallen angel. And angels are sometimes depicted as personal guardians for individuals, like the guardian angels. But again, the role is very similar between the Judeo-Christian that serve as messengers. And we have the same idea in Islam, that the idea of these angels is to deliver God's message, but not just message alone. They have been given other duties and tasks, like the angel who is responsible for the winds, or the angel that is responsible for the rain, and so on and so forth, or the angel responsible for the mountains. And there are many other types. But in Christianity, there are some hierarchies that they call, there's a first sphere of angels, and then there's a second sphere, and then there's a third sphere, which is part of the Christian theology, often adopts a detailed angelic hierarchy, which is one other concept we find. And then angels frequently interacting with humans in the Bible also. That's another thing. And in Catholicism, it believes that that there are guardian angels, and have a great emphasis on it. But on the other hand, when you look at Islam, where angels are created from light or nur and are entirely obedient to Allah without free will, and they do not sin, do not drink, or have any desires, and are entirely devoted to worship and executing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's commands. Yes, they are, one of their duties is to go to the messengers of Allah and deliver the message, but they are also recorders of the deeds, like Kiram and Katibin. They also come in the grave and ask questions, or they are the protectors or the guardians of different tasks, like there's a khazin of the Jannah, or there is a controller of the Jahannam, like Malik. And of course, they will also be given a responsibility, like the responsibility of Israfil alayhi salam. So there are many such roles, and angels are not organized in any fixed hierarchy in Islamic theology, but there are some prominent ones like Jibreel alayhi salam, Mikael alayhi salam, Azrael alayhi salam, and Israfil alayhi salam. And some angels have very specific roles. Now, do not get confused, like when you hear the story of Harut and Marut. They were not fallen angels. They were simply sent to test humanity. So that's why the Harut and Marut do not fall in this category. And angels interact with humans through divine revelations, guidance, or protection. And Muslims believe in their constant presence, and also in the night of power, the Laylatul Qadr, angels are descended down. So this tells you a lot of differences between how angels are perceived in Judeo-Christian and Islam. And can angels rebel? So if you ask a Jewish person, they will say in mainstream Jewish theology, angels, the malachim, are messengers of God who lack free will, and they're created to serve God, and they cannot rebel. But some Jewish mystical text, like the book of Enoch, which describe those angels that can rebel as watchers, and these angels supposedly descended to earth, and they married human women, and then they sinned against God's will. So there is some references of that in the Judaic idea. But in Christianity, it's quite open that they say, well, yes, angels can rebel. And then they would quote Revelation, chapter number 12, verses 7 through 9, Isaiah, chapter 14, verses 12 through 15. As I told you, that's their concept. And Islam, angels cannot rebel. So angels are created, and that's exactly, they've been created with no free will. They cannot be disobedient. They have to follow the rules and regulations, and it doesn't bother them to do so, that they would rebel. On the other hand, it is the jinns who have problems, and they have this thing that they could rebel. So that's one thing that I wanted to make it pretty clear for you in the light of the Torah or the Jewish traditions, I should say, the Christian traditions and the Islamic traditions. And also, if you remember, we talked about a character by the name of Lilith, and how the Lilith met a fallen angel by the name of Samael, and through them an entire offspring of demons were created. And all of this, as I have told you in great detail, none of this is described in Islamic text. It comes in some of the Jewish text. Even Christians do not believe in this story. So Samael, which is displayed as a complex figure in religious and mystical traditions, so primarily only within the Jewish mysticism and Kabbalah. And his story varies a lot, just so that you know. He is depicted in different ways. Sometimes he's depicted with dual roles, embodying both good and evil aspects. Sometimes he's not strictly a fallen angel, the way Lucifer was in the Christian theology. And sometimes he's portrayed as somebody who is rebellious or is dark, has dark tendencies. So in Jewish text, Samael is identified sometimes as the angel of death, responsible for collecting souls. And Samael is also referred to as the accuser or the prosecutor in the heavenly court, similar to Satan in the book of Job. And his duty involves testing human faith and bringing accusations against humanity. And then some traditions link Samael to the events of the Garden of Eden. In this context, Samael is sometimes associated with the serpent who tempted Eve. So that's why the idea of Samael varies from one text to another. So if you're looking into Kabbalah, in Kabbalah, Samael is associated with the Sitra Achra, the other side representing the forces of impurity and evil. And he's sometimes paired with Lilith. and Samael's connection to the divine is nearly fully severed, emphasizing the interplay between judgment and mercy in the cosmic order. And unlike Lucifer, whose rebellion is central to his narrative, Samael's story focuses more on his assignment role and the complexities of carrying out divine will. So he didn't like his role. As a result of that, he rebelled. So Samael's story is very different. But again, this is more or less like a Jewish interpretation, and the Jewish characters, we do not have any such characters in Islam, and there is no mention of any of them or the concept of fallen angel in the Quran or Hadith or any of the Islamic theologies. So just wanted you to be clear about that. Anyway, inshallah, we'll talk to you next time about another hybrid species that are talked about as comes in some of the Jewish tradition as hybrid of human and angels. And inshallah, we'll talk more about that in detail. And of course, I always welcome you to please put in the comment section below your viewpoints. If you're liking these videos, please share them. If you have any more questions, if there are other topics you want us to talk about, and inshallah, we'll discuss those as well. Till next time, assalamu alaikum.